Good day, everyone. It's 2 p.m. in Ljubljana, Slovenia, 1 p.m. in Dublin, Ireland. Welcome to another EU Business Talks session. My name is Ante Milavoj, and my guest of honor today is Peter Brennan from Mason Technology from Ireland. Peter, good day to you. Most welcome.
Thank you, and thank you for the invite. Delighted to be here, and good afternoon to everybody.
Peter, as far as I understand, it's your day one back from holidays. So as you are the managing director of a successful company, what do you get on your desk after 1 week, 10 days holidays?
Well, as managing director, I did some phone calls even when I was on holidays and took some emails. So, but I had a lot of emails this morning. Yeah, but that's life, I think, for an MD.
Okay, it was not a tricky question, but really, every one of us, we are 24/7 online, this way or that way. So it's interesting once we are physically back into the office, what is there for us. But anyway, you are now in Dublin, as far as I understand?
Yes, indeed. Yeah. So our company is based in Dublin, and
okay.
I'm what's called a Dublin Jackeen. So that's what that's what the country people call us when you're from Dublin.
Here in our country, the autumn is coming slowly back alive. What's the case in Ireland?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. We have a nice day today. It's a mild 16 degrees. So so we're kind of lucky here in Ireland. We don't get extreme temperatures, so we don't get. And if we do, it's only for a very short period of time. So, I mean, for example, in the winter, we don't get a huge amount of snow. But when we do get snow, the country stops because we don't have the equipment to clear it. So
challenges this way or that way. Yeah. So, dear friends, before we go with Peter forward with his challenges on the company, Peter, I dare to ask you a couple of questions. Regarding economy, take it as an icebreaker. How is your economy doing this last weeks, months? I hear via media that also COVID-wise, you are among top 3 countries in terms of vaccinations. How does it influence one thing to another, etc.?
Okay, well, we have really 2 economies that happened in COVID. The hospitality sector was devastated. But we have a lot of foreign direct investment here in Ireland, particularly pharmaceutical and biotechnology companies. And that business, thankfully, because that's the business we're in, that business was thriving. So GDP, believe it or not, is expected to finish the year at 7 to 10%, which is good. Unemployment figures are around 6.5%. And we have nearly 90% of the population double vaccinated. So Irish people took to the vaccine, and now with the schools back, we're vaccinating younger people as well. So we're hoping the economy is set to grow. Unfortunately, inflation is also expected to grow. But so far so good. I mean, obviously, COVID had a devastating effect on our tourist sector, which is a big sector, particularly from the UK. Our UK is our biggest trading partner, and they're also our biggest visitors. So that sector was badly affected.
Okay, so is it safe to say that your government is doing its part of the job quite well?
Yeah, we have a coalition government at the moment, and which has given us a green, has pushed the green agenda, which is a good thing. Yeah, the government is, I think, cope relatively well. Yeah, but unfortunately now, I think it's a worldwide issue. Energy prices are going up, materials and supplies are going up. So, and then we've a difficult housing crisis in Ireland. We've basically a shortage of houses, and that has pushed inflation up. So, but overall, I think they've done okay.
Okay, one last question, Peter, before we go for your company in particular,
Yeah.
because this is called EU Business Talks. So what European Union represents to you personally, maybe to your country? How do you see it? Where do you see it in 5 years, 10 years time?
Well, our Irish people are very proactive, are very pro-Europeans. You know, and you know, obviously now with the UK, I was hoping I'd get through this meeting without mentioning Brexit, but now that
You
the
still
UK,
can, you still can, Peter.
but now that the UK have left and so on, it's even more important. I mean, we're a small, you know, 5 million people. We're a relatively small economy in comparison to Germany or something like that. So being part of the EU is hugely significant for us. And if I go back to the early days when we joined it, the EU substantially supported us in our infrastructure, in our motorways and so on. And we just hadn't got the money to do it. I mean, that's quite frankly. And really, our connection with the EU has been extraordinarily positive for the Irish economy. And I think also now we're a much more multicultural country as well. And yeah, I think the EU, I mean, the euro obviously is super because, you know, you have the one currency and all this rest. And then we have all these, you know, we've normalization across taxes and things like this. So I think it's very positive.
Okay, very nice. I mean, we can relate from our point of view as well. As you know, Peter, we are 2 million, and having an equal say among many things, it's an essence, definitely. And we might be small, but we are also flexible and fast, you know, and that makes us competitive at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, dear friends, let me read out the couple of sentences from the invite that you've all received. Peter Brennan, Managing Director, Mason Technology Ltd, from Dublin, Ireland, a family-owned company founded in 1780. Okay, there you go. I guess you are getting this question a lot, I would assume. Okay, let me finish. Is one of Ireland's leading scientific solution providers, offering complete application solutions to the scientific, medical, industrial, academic, and food science markets. Company has developed many solid partnerships with some world's leading brands in various sub-niches. Let me put it this way. So let's start with the question number one. You are founded in 1780. Can you take it from here forward? What's the story?
Yeah. Well, it's the story, and we are still a family-owned company. We're on the 8th generation of the Mason Technology. Mason is the founder's name. So yeah, founded in 1780. It's you know, when we meet US business people or you know, companies, they sometimes think it's a typo, you know, because as you probably know, 4 years later, or 4 years previously, they gained independence, you know. So what were we doing in 1780? We were mainly in spectacles and optics. And so the company, you know, over the years went from, they were the leader in Ireland on photography when it was invented. They then moved into microscopes. And then if I bring it right forward to when I joined the company, which is about 35 years ago, they were primarily selling equipment into schools, not third level, mainly junior level. But the company really needed to get out of that market. That market is not a high profitable market. And we had developed distributorship with some companies, and their portfolio was growing. And as a result, the company made a decision really to move into solely instrumentation.
And so you are. So are you? I visited your website. Of course, I see many global brands within your references part of the website, and it says that you are with them for more than 70 years or so. So this is like, it sounds like a family to family type of relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I would say most years we have a long service award, you know, 25, 35 years. Yeah, I mean, we've our total company size is about 110, 115 people. and we have a good mix now. We have a mix of young people and old people like myself, and then people in the mid-range with a lot of experience and so on. So it's an interesting company.
Okay. So for somebody who is a laik in your line of business or doesn't understand like I do much about it, so can you please enlighten us or myself, who are your customers? How do you find them, or do they find you after all, since you have such a long tradition? Peter, please.
It's a good question. Our customers are primarily, well, I suppose any company that has a laboratory. But our main customers would be the pharmaceutical and biotech companies. And there's quite a lot of those companies in Ireland. We've all the big names: Pfizer's, Novartis, Janssen's, and so on, Abbott, Merck Sharp and Dohme. We also supply a lot of the research labs in the colleges, so in the universities. And then, of course, we're a big supplier to government bodies. We're not massively in the clinical area. We do sell microscopes into that area, but in diagnostics, we're not involved in. So our customers are mainly anybody doing testing on product.
And I would assume that these channels, academic schools, pharmaceuticals, these are totally, from marketing point of view, totally separate ones.
100%. 100%. Yeah. And even a big part of our business is service. So our service department is as big as our sales department. And the educational bodies, might not take out service contracts, or if they do, they're very small. But all the big pharmaceutical companies and biotech companies, they will look to take out service contracts. So when we sell a piece of product, we should get about 7 years. If we compete and we do a good job, maybe 7 years of potential service income from that product.
Is the service part can be done online, or you are taking it in person?
We have to do it in person. Yeah. We have about 30 engineers in the field.
Okay.
And we've actually developed a bespoke software that we developed with a company to actually do a lot of our calibrations for us. It helps our engineers do the calibration, makes it more efficient and so on. Okay.
Okay, the other question is, Peter, regarding markets that you're covering globally. Obviously, Ireland, UK must be your top markets, I would assume. I don't know.
Yeah, we have yet to fully get off the island, unfortunately. And our strategy is to expand our business. We sell quite a bit into Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland is quite a big market for us. And we sell an amount into the UK, but we have plans over the next 1 to 2 years to expand our operation into the UK and possibly even Northern Europe as well.
Okay, so you are still in front of that process.
Yeah.
So first 280 years local market only, dear friends. The another one, 280 globally.
I think it has to be globally. The size of our company, we've had enormous growth over the last 4 to 5 years in terms of numbers. We've gone from, averaging 63 people to over 110 people. And once you get to that size and volume, the Irish market is never really going to sustain you for further growth. So, that's our next opportunity.
Okay, it sounds great. Even more so, Peter, because here in the room, you have friends from all over the world, many of them doing international businesses, already have references, etc., etc.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, dear friends, it's 15 past the hour. Feel free to place your questions in the chat box, and I will start with the first one, Peter, if I may. Yeah. So you mentioned shortage in the housing. Would your government, construction companies and municipalities be interested in 3D printing technology in construction? What is your say on that, Peter?
I'm sure. That's a market that we're not familiar with. But yes, the growth at the moment, first of all, the Irish government put out a national plan for building. So they hope to build, I think, 30,000 houses per year. because it's kind of a chronic situation at the moment. So if there's anybody watching from here in that trade, I think the Irish economy is a good opportunity for you to look at maybe offering various softwares or something. But unfortunately, it's not a market we would be familiar with.
Okay, but it is your opinion, and it is well taken by Vladimir. Thank you very much. What about real estate prices in particular? You know, many of us judge the size of the well-being of the market with the real estate prices. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah,
I would assume Dublin is 2 times higher than the rest of the country. Is it correct?
Well, what has happened, one of the good things, if only one of the good things about COVID, is that you know, Ireland is a small country, right? So we can go from one end of it to the other in about 5 hours. And what COVID has done is, because of working from home, people now are beginning to relocate back to the country. Our broadband is relatively good, and we have a strategy to improve that. So we're ironically seeing an increase in pricing in housing in down country. We are also seeing it, of course, in Dublin. But people are now beginning to reevaluate, I'm sure like everybody, reevaluate their lives and get their work balance maybe a little bit better. And of course, now with the hybrid situation coming in with COVID, we anticipate that people will probably work from home, maybe go back to where they were born, maybe in the West or in the Midlands, and then maybe commute to Dublin maybe once or twice a day, in a week, I should say, you know. But housing has gone up by, house pricing has gone up by nearly 15% in the last 6 months.
And the middle class is booming, and they can afford that?
Yeah, what happened, an explanation for this sudden increase is that, and I'm sure no different from all the people listening here, is that people accumulated cash during COVID. So there's a fair amount of cash in the market. So a recent report showed that a high percentage of property was being paid by cash, not by loans.
Okay. The next one on my list, Peter, is Google and Ireland. I must ask you that, you know.
Yeah, of course.
So what's your opinion on that? You know, below the line, Google, I guess, put you on the map globally.
Yes.
But surely there must be some pro and contra from your point of view today as well.
Well, I mean, I presume maybe this question is about Ireland's corporation tax, which is 12.5%.
Exactly.
Okay. And obviously, I think there's no doubt that pharmaceutical companies and Google and Facebook and TikTok have just recently entered Ireland, that the 12.5% corporation tax is attractive. Absolutely. I don't think it's the only factor why these companies come to Ireland. I think we are a gateway to Europe. I think we have a highly educated workforce. Obviously, English is our natural language, and so on. And the quality of life in Ireland, I'm sure, like in a lot of countries, it's a nice lifestyle, right? But as you probably know, the EU are looking to normalize the tax to have a 15% harmony, and there's a lot of talk now with in the US and so on. So I suppose the way I see it from a business point of view, that if the playing pitch is leveled at 15%, then it makes it no more attractive to go to Ireland or not go to Ireland. Where I would be worried, of course, is that if this did cause some disruption to our market, because the contribution from foreign direct investment into the Irish economy is massive. But I have empathy with a lot of countries when it's saying, look, you know, it's not quite fair that you guys are at 12.5. But I think personally, and I think when you listen to some politicians, I think we are resigned to the fact that 12.5% will not last for much longer.
Yeah, fascinating, but yeah, it's a story, and you were the first one. Maybe okay, maybe automotive industry in Slovakia is the same case. You know,
all right,
they brought many global brands this way inside as well. Peter, many of our friends here in the room are covering their local markets within the European Union. Earlier, you said you are planning short-term to start your international expansion, correct?
Yes.
So, do you have any more particular plan in this regards? You know, where do you start? Which areas, pharmaceutical or which sector? How do you do it? What is your target people or entities that you will be searching?
Okay, well, earlier on, I mentioned that we had developed a bespoke software that helps us in our calibration.
Yeah.
And that has proved very popular in the Irish market. So we see our best route to market is through our service department. So the software is designed so that it can be licensed to another company. And it can be, it can, if you're working under the same standard that we work on here, which is a standard called 17025, then it should be relatively acceptable in other markets. So our route to market is primarily service. That's where we see it, because as a distributor, most of our suppliers have already existing people in other countries selling their products.
The competition is harsh.
Competition is tough, yeah, absolutely, yeah. But the high end of service, so when you're dealing with the pharmaceutical and when you're dealing with the biotechnology, they're not as price sensitive to the service. They're more interested in things like what we call data integrity, and they're more interested in getting their reports on time and the accuracy of their reports and the precision of the reports and so on. So that, as I mentioned, we now have more or less an equal contribution both between sales and service. And I suppose if I went back 25 years ago, and maybe some of the people listening will have some empathy with this, that service was kind of a support system. And it was kind of a lost leader, but we see it as a great opportunity for organic growth both within Ireland and in overseas.
It is very much so, and it makes the difference, and it also influences the Excel file at the end of the day, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
The next one is from Jackie from Bucharest. Hi, Jackie, good to see you. We have been the local enterprise Ireland consultant in Romania since more than 20 years. Do you get much support from them with your business development? Are you in any way in touch with them?
Yeah, we are. They are a big support to our business. So two things happened in Ireland over the last 4 to 5 years. First of all, the Irish government brought in a tax relief for R&D, for research and development, and also they instructed Enterprise Ireland, who were mainly dealing with export companies, that they had to offer some support to indigenous companies such as ourselves. And they've been extraordinarily supportive in both in advice and also in grant aiding. For example, the development of this software I just mentioned, they've been extraordinarily helpful in that. But the big thing that we have benefited from Enterprise Ireland is they have a massive network. I think they've over 30 people in the UK supporting our Irish industries, and I know they have them out through all Europe. So we have found them a very professional company. Also, in terms of just getting contacts and getting advice, they've been exceptional. Okay,
are you a network is the key issue, of course. Are you benefiting also, Peter, from some funding programs by this house?
So far, they've funded 3 of our projects, up to nearly 50%. And also there's a strong connection between industry and research and development universities, and they co-fund some of that research. So yeah, it's been, well, for such as at the time, the level of investment we wanted to do on the software was quite a large amount of money for the size of our company, and we're very thankful for Enterprise Ireland coming on board to support that.
Perfect. Martin is with us from France. Will Peter consider to develop its business in Africa? Africa is the key word, each way you look at, last couple of years or even more. What's your say on Africa?
Well, I suppose our UK is our closest neighbor, and we speak a common tongue, and we know that market. We know it quite well. So I suppose we will take small steps first. That would be
very nicely put it, Martin. I would, if I were you, I would still write a nice follow-up email to Peter.
okay. Well, I look forward to that. Look forward to that.
Dear friends, we are entering our last 5 minutes. Peter, sorry, is active on his local market. Mostly, you mentioned North Ireland. Can you share couple of more sentences on that? Is this your local market de facto or de jure?
Yeah, no. So we in Ireland there are 6 counties which which are part of the United Kingdom, and they operate in sterling and so on and so on. But we set up an office space there, and we have a number of people operating there. I mean, it's a smaller economy than Ireland and Republic of Ireland, but it's a gateway for us. Obviously, it allows us to deal in sterling, which hedges our rate of exchange if there was any exposure. But it's an interesting market. There's some fine universities there, and of course there's some very strong pharmaceutical companies there. And it contributes nearly 15% of our total turnover. So it's a significant market for us.
Okay. Can I ask you, the second chapter in my invite, Peter, was about that you are also lecturer of business strategy at the degree level in Griffith College, Dublin. Is this a win-win for you from business perspective? And, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I got my MBA some years ago, and I had one of these moments when I was putting all my books away, and I said, you know, I have to do something here. And I was very lucky. I approached Griffith College, and they said, look, they've mature students coming in who are working and in the evenings, and they asked me would I do some lecturing for them. So I love it because you're dealing with people around 25, 30 years of age. They're working, so they've great work-life experiences, and the classes really are very energetic, and it's challenging, but it keeps my mind active, and because strategy is such an important part of any business.
It is, and as well, change management and business development, one of your 2 topics.
Yeah.
Whereas I would assume that we would all be given approximately the same definition on business development. But what's your definition on change management?
Well, I mentioned at the very start about how our sales and service department are more or less incomes. But when I joined the company about a long time ago, I ended up being service manager for a number of years, and there was a huge cultural divide between service engineers and salespeople, and yet I felt there was a huge opportunity that they needed to work together. So a change in culture was needed. And that was about trying to break down the barriers, trying to explain what each, as I always say, the difference between a salesperson and a service person, when the new piece of equipment arrives, the salesperson just wants to take it out of the box and run off and demonstrate it to the customer. Whereas a service engineer wants to read the manual, he wants to set it up, he wants to, check it. And changing that culture and changing people to understand people have different needs and different values. And we now have, I think, a very close collaboration between sales and service. And when you get collaboration between sales and service, you get a lot of innovation.
For sure. Also, one last question, Peter. What is your idea about the simple fact that 25 years, 30 years ago, we were sending 2 telefaxes a day. Today, we have 200 plus emails a day. What has changed?
Well, I think this is another thing I think COVID has done. COVID has really turned the spotlight on this, that, we need to shut down, or what I would call, we now, at the end of our emails, we have an opt-out after 5 o'clock.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. And because, you're right. People were working, people with families, people were working into the evening, 7 o'clock, or in the evenings, and even longer. And as you know, probably getting up early to do them. And I think people are questioning that life balance. And I think it's the right thing to do.
And they're moving outside Dublin also in the
Yeah.
process.
Yeah, but I mean, once if people have visited Ireland, they'll know that, the countryside is lovely. I have to say it, but the people are lovely as well. They're very friendly. And when you move to rural areas, it's a great community. And I think that's a good thing for kids to grow up in. I think it's a good thing for people to engage in. They become part of the community rather than just, going into your apartment in Dublin City and not knowing anybody.
Peter, thank you very much for being my guest. Before we leave you in peace and your further challenges for day one, can I ask you also what Peter is about when he's not in the office, online or in person? What do you do?
Okay, I'm a very keen photographer. So it's probably the one. I read a lot, but I'm a very keen photographer. And when I'm out with my camera, it is, I'm in a different world, and I totally forget all the worries and all the emails and all the rest. And of course, I'm in a lovely country to take landscape photographs. So that's my pastime. That's my passion.
Peter, once again, thank you for being our guest. Thank you for sharing your know-how with us. I will dare to send the follow-up email with our friends here in the room. I'm sure some of them will contact you directly. And to all you friends, that's it for today. It was again short and sweet, I believe. Yeah, I agree with you, Ibrahim. Thank you very much. Next week, same time, same place, I will be talking with Enzo Di Stefano from Trieste, Italy. And for now,
can I just thank you?
Yeah, again, please. Sorry for being rude, Peter.
No, not at all. And thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for everybody taking their time out from their busy work schedules to come and join the meeting. Really appreciate it. And you're such a professional facilitator. So well done to you as well.
Thank you very much. Dear friends, Peter Brennan, I wish you a nice day forward and bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.